Okay, so we are still on target 28. We're still talking about asexual reproduction. So we're going to explain how organisms reproduce asexually to pass on their genetic information to the offspring. So what we're going to talk about is how a cell reproduces and passes on its genetic information. And so what we're going to go into detail is the cell cycle. Okay, so this gives you a big picture of the cell cycle. A lot of stuff going on. We're going to go through each phase in the cell cycle. Okay, to start off with, we're going to talk about interphase. That's the first phase of the cell cycle. Now, we're going to talk about human cells. In human cells, we contain 46 chromosomes. That's what that C stands for. Chromosomes contain DNA. DNA is your genetic code. It's what tells you who you are. So in interphase, each cell that is in interphase in the humans contains 46 chromosomes. During interphase, the cell also grows and develops. It starts to make more of the cell organelles, like the mitochondria, the ribosomes, the Golgi bodies. All the organelles start to make copies. There's more of them. A cell spends its longest time in interphase. So any type of cell, like a skin cell, muscle cell, is going to spend its longest time here. Muscle cell, remember, isn't going to go anywhere else. During interphase, that DNA inside the chromosomes are copied. So you duplicate your chromosomes. So in a skin cell that started off with 46 chromosomes, after interphase, it has now made a copy of everything, and it's now up to 92 chromosomes. Okay, so after interphase, okay, we now have our cells in our body, instead of having 46 chromosomes, now have 92. So this gives you a picture of interphase and what a cell looks like as it's going through interphase. You don't see the actual chromosomes inside, but remember they're having copies made. Okay. Okay, once a cell has gone through interphase and it has made copies of its chromosomes, it now has 92 chromosomes, it's going to go through the phase of mitosis. Now, mitosis is broken down into 4 phases: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Now, a real easy way to remember the order: start with the first letter of each phase, and it makes an acronym called PMAT. Okay, now what happens in prophase is you start to be able, these X's represent chromosomes, you start to be able to see the individual chromosomes. So you start to be able to see those 92 chromosomes. Then what happens is spindle fibers, I'll show you what those are in a minute, form, and the nuclear membrane disappears. So in prophase, we have those 92 chromosomes from interphase. We start to be able to see them inside the nucleus. The nuclear membrane disappears, and these weird looking things are the spindle fibers. They're actually going to attach to the chromosomes in a later phase. So that's prophase. Then you're going to go to metaphase. Those chromosomes, the 92 chromosomes, they are going to pair up. So when they pair up, that makes 46 pairs. And they're going to line up in the middle, and the nucleus is going to be gone. So what you're going to have is 46 pairs of 92 chromosomes. Okay? So lining up in the middle. So this picture obviously doesn't show the 46 pairs of the 92 chromosomes, but they're there in metaphase. 46 pairs of 92 chromosomes. They line up in the middle of a cell. Then you notice those spindle fibers I was talking about, they attach to the chromosomes. And they're going to do something with those chromosomes in the next phase. Really easy way to remember what happens in metaphase is think of metaphase, middle. So the chromosome pairs line up in the middle, that's metaphase. Okay, the next phase of mitosis is anaphase. Okay, anaphase, basically you have the chromosome pairs separating. So remember there were 46 pairs of 92 chromosomes. So when they separate in half. 46 chromosomes are on this side of the cell, 46 chromosomes are on the opposite side. Okay, those spindle fibers are what pull the 46 chromosomes to each side. So that's what happens in anaphase. Then the last phase of mitosis is telophase. Telophase, basically two nucleus form around the chromosomes and your cytoplasm starts to separate. So you start to see a nucleus forming around those 46 chromosomes on either side of the cell. The cytoplasm starts to separate and it looks like a peanut shape. And then the last phase of the cell cycle is cytokinesis. You have two new cells forming identical to parent. So remember when we talked about in asexual reproduction, you start off with one cell and you create two identical cells? Well, this is how most of the cells in our body are created. We start off with one cell, goes through interphase, makes a duplication of everything, goes through mitosis, and then we separate into two identical cells with 46 chromosomes, and that's just like what we started with. Okay, then those two new cells will go through interphase, mitosis, and cytokinesis and create two more cells. So that's how you can reproduce our cells, through asexual reproduction. Now, the key thing to remember are the results for mitosis. So, after mitosis, okay, right, we have two new cells that are identical to parent. And it's identical because each cell has 46 chromosomes. That is how they are identical to the parent, because the parent started out with 46 chromosomes. So after mitosis, you now have two new cells that are identical to the parent. And that is how our cells reproduce asexually and pass on their genetic information. Okay, so let's watch this interactive as you go through, as one cell reproduces and makes two identical cells. So we start off in interphase. It goes really fast. Two new identical cells created. Show it again. More time. Okay, and that's a cycle of a cell reproducing through asexual reproduction.